everybody and welcome back to another video by Funlearn Tutorials. In the last video we discussed about the issue of factor intensity reversal, right? So let me just scroll up. So we discussed the issue of factor intensity reversal, and basically in today's video I'm going to try to explain the concept of factor intensity reversal to you in a different way. So let me try and draw another graph for you. Let me see if I can draw it without drawing crooked lines. So this is my vertical axis, which is as usual crooked, and this is my horizontal axis, which is also very consistently crooked as well. And I draw something very straight here, and then I draw something over here. Of course, at first it feels like I am drawing a tic-tac-toe or something, but I will explain to you what I'm drawing. Okay, so there is something like this, which looks like an isoquant. And if you thought that this looks like an isoquant, you're actually very intelligent, because that is exactly what I'm trying to draw. So that is also something that I draw here. And now let me mark my axis. So this is K, this is L, this is supposed to be one single point, this is alpha. What else can I draw? Let's see. Okay, so I can mark things like this is the, this color is for this. So let me mark this as Y. Let me mark this as Y as well. This is for X. And what else? Nothing else, right? Oh, another thing that I can do is I draw a line here and another line here, such that, okay, you have to assume this, that these two lines are parallel to each other. Okay, it doesn't look parallel, I know, but like you have to assume it. I'm not very good at drawing in this digital space, so you just have to assume that they are parallel. So let's say I name these points beta 1, beta 2. So let me just specify beta 1, beta 2. Again, these are not technical terms, they are parallel. Beta 1 and beta 2 are points, so of course I can't call them parallel, but basically I mean the black lines in beta 1 and beta 2 are parallel. Similarly, let me draw something over here and let me draw something over here, and you have to assume here that these two are what? These two are parallel. So power of imagination is very important in economics. Yeah. So let me call this gamma 1, let me call this gamma 2. Of course, I don't want you to remember that 2 points are parallel, because 2 points can't be parallel, but I mean that the 2 black lines for gamma 1 and gamma 2 are parallel to each other, right? Now, a quick recapitulation. You remember when we have consumer behavior, and when we try to sort of discuss about the or maybe not consumer behavior, let's talk about, you can talk about consumer behavior as well as producer behavior. In consumer behavior, if you want to think about isoquants, and if you want to think about utility maximization, the slope of this line, it actually gives you the price ratio. Remember that? So these lines, these negatively sloped lines, basically these gives you the price ratio. So these lines are the price ratio. And if you think about the producer behavior, if you think about so basically in consumer behavior, that would be isoquants, price ratio versus, no, sorry, not isoquants, indifference curves. And in case of, this would be in case of consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is basically trying to attain the highest possible indifference curve given the price ratio, given the this budget constraint basically. And in case of producer behavior, what do we have? In case of producer behavior was basically trying to attain the highest possible isoquant, that is produced as much as possible given the what are they called, isocost curves or something like that, right? Basically given the factor prices. So basically what I mean to say is these negative lines are giving you the price ratios. Okay, so this is not relevant to what we are discussing. This was just a recapitulation. So right, now this is where the main story comes. Let's take a different color, or maybe let's keep the same color. Let's think about point beta 1 and beta 2. Right, point beta 1 and beta 2, I said that these two black lines in point beta 1 and beta 2 are, they are what? They are parallel to each other. And I just said that the slope basically considers the price ratio. In consumer behavior also we have the slopes considering price ratio, and we are even in producer behavior we have the slopes considering price ratios. So if the slopes are the same, the price ratio would be same price ratio. So same price ratio in this case would mean capital by L, capital L. So basically there's a same proportion of W and R going on, or R and W going on. Basically they're the same thing. W by R for this case is equal to W by R for this case, or R by W for this case is equal to R by W for this case. Basically the prices are proportional, so you cannot say one is cheaper than the other or something along that lines. Now if you compare these 2 points, you see if I draw this line here, sorry, if I draw this line here and if I drop it into the horizontal axis, and if I draw this line here and if I draw this to the horizontal axis, what do I see? For point B2, let me draw it on this side. So not, yeah. So for point B2, note that point B2 corresponds to Y, that is production of Y. So production of Y, you see capital by labor, and here you also have capital by labor. So if I try to write, let's write it this way. You have, I erased this as well, didn't I? You have capital of Y, you have capital of X, capital being used basically. You have labor used in Y, you have labor used in X, right? This capital being used in Y is more. So this is more. Now if capital is being used in more in Y, it would give us a hint that Y is capital intensive, right? So this part tells me, this section, the entire section above this part actually, this is true for any 2 points you take here, provided the 2 lines, the 2 black lines are parallel. These tell me that Y, if I could write Y properly, Y is capital intensive, right? Now if I look at the other side of the graph, so I draw a horizontal line here, drop it on the horizontal axis, I draw a horizontal line here, drop vertically, or if I want to maintain the color scheme, drop it here as well. So now I want to look at point gamma 1 and gamma 2. So this is something that we have to remember. For the upper part, we saw that Y is capital intensive. Now if I look at these 2 points and I mark this to be capital, this to be labor, this to be capital, this to be labor, I write the same expression, capital used in Y by capital used in X, sorry, not the L used in Y, L used in X. Capital is more being used in Y. Capital in X is higher. Capital in X is higher. So that means I have to write capital in X by capital in Y is higher than labor in X by labor in Y. If I take reciprocal, the sign would change. right? If I take reciprocal, if I make the denominator numerator and a numerator denominator, this is what we will get. So if this is true, then that means labor being used in Y is more. That means Y is labor intensive. So you see, here we get Y is labor intensive, but above we got Y is capital intensive. Again, the same concept. Factor intensity reversal. In one part of the diagram, we see it is intensive in one factor. In some other part of the diagram, we see Y is the same good. The same good is intensive in some other factor. This is again one way of representing the factor intensity reversal.